What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today I thought I'd do something different, something very fun, and explore the career mode. Apparently F1 has a career mode, so we're going to check that out today. And yeah, we're going to create our own Formula 1 team and see how we get on. It should be a pretty fun series, so let's get straight into it. Sorry, it's been a while, but I have to race through the episodes now if we want to finish before this game ends. So, should be many more episodes to come. Anyway, here we are for what Grand Prix are we at? We're at the Azerbaijan Grand Prix this weekend, so that'll be a spicy one. Make sure you check out the previous episodes if you haven't seen them. Yes, I am doing a career mode on F1 2021. It's been a long-running series, 63 episodes, so if you're new, check out the playlist. But yeah, we are in a championship fight with Charles Leclerc. We are in Season 4, and this is the recovery job for our car. We're pretty much there in terms of car performance. We're now just shoring up the reliability of the car. Resource points are coming in thick and fast at this point in the career mode where the facilities are pretty much fully upgraded. So we'll make some pretty huge strides over the next few race weekends, and we should pretty much have a maxed out car, which is pretty exciting. But if you guys are excited about this series returning, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to see plenty more F1 2021, but more specifically F1 22 content. Unfortunately, we had a major failure there for the brakes. That was the final performance upgrade set to go on in time for this race, and it turns out the fix to the failed upgrade will actually still go on in time for Baku, so that is pretty awesome to see. And now with that, we are the best car in Formula 1. That minor brake upgrade tips us over the edge, and in terms of raw performance, we're the best in the sport. What do you think our chances are of finishing in third this weekend? I'm not so sure, to be honest, but yeah, there we go. We're first. We are leading the pack in the development race once again, but the performance index isn't always gospel. You always have to take it with a pinch of salt, and what it really comes down to at this point of the season is, I guess, the form behind each driver heading into a particular race. So that'll be one to watch with keen interest. Anyway, Ricciardo showed pretty good pace in the early part of the weekend. We now move into FP2, where I was having some struggles getting used to F1 2021 again. So much more grip, so much traction, just so much more nimbleness with the cars. It took me a while to get used to it. I did get some damage on my one of my quali runs, and that kind of just snowballed into a big steaming pile of crap, really. But we recovered quite well in the race run and ended up P4 in FP2, so that was actually quite nice. We now head into quali with a bit of momentum, actually. Okay, no more mucking around. Time to fully get to grips with this car. It has been a week or two since I've driven a career mode car on F1 2021. I've been used to the F1 22 cars, which are, I want to say like 5-6 seconds slower, maybe more, I'm not too sure. Slower than what the cars we're running now. There's just a big difference between F1 2021 and F1 22, but then it's amplified by the fact we've got fully upgraded cars, which really makes it difficult to adapt. But we'll get there. I think we'll be a work in progress. I don't think we're going to set the world alight in this qualifying session, but as we get deeper into the weekend, we'll get more in tune with the handling model, and we should be a little bit more on the pace. So, not FP1, qualifying 1 is underway. We waited a little bit of time for the track to grip up a little bit, wait for the rubber to lay down by other people. I did nick the wall there on the left-hand side, and we are running with simulation damage. So that might actually cause us a little bit of grief.
Be careful with the front wing. You've taken some minor damage, no issue.
And it has actually, because that tiny knock has affected the performance of the car, and I can feel it. Even through these slow speed corners, you're not quite hitting the apex like I'd like to be. So this is going to make things difficult at the back end of qualifying 1. This might be the only time we get in as we go up to the line. 136.3. We are 1.4 seconds away from Sebastian Vettel, I think. I'm not too sure what the marker was there, but we just squeezed through into qualifying 2 by 0.2. Big margin from us to the next fastest car, but thankfully the back markers are miles off in terms of their development of their cars. So lucky escape. We'll move on to qualifying 2 now, where I think we'll have much better pace. A damaged front wing takes away a massive chunk of performance. So just getting a clean run in Q2, we'll see massive improvements. Speaking of massive improvements, that's a 133.2 from Daniel Ricciardo on medium compound tires. He's absolutely blitzed the field there, and that's surely going to see him through to qualifying 3 on the preferred choice of tire. And I think there's a bit of rain heading our way for the race as well, so having that flexibility for Daniel is going to be massive for him. But anyway, here we go. At the end of the session, fresh set of soft compound tires. Track is even more rubbered in than what it was in Q1. That was another moment with the wall.
Tyre condition is still looking good.
Oh, this time we get away with it. P15 at the moment, but there's massive amounts of time to find. The 135.3 we just did, that was a second faster than what we managed in Q1, and that was on a used set of tires as well. So brand new set of tires, end of the session. I'm hoping to find at least another second on top of that. So let's see what we can do. A little bit scruffy on the exit there of that slow right-hander. Heading into the middle sector now, where we have the infamous turn 8. Rotation not quite as good there as what I'd like it to be. I know I'm quite spoiled with this car in this game. I was like, wow, this thing rotates really nicely. But it's funny how you take it for granted or how quickly you get used to it and then you want more. It's pretty ridiculous. 6.5 tenths up as we approach the downhill left-hander, third to last corner. Clip the apex nicely there. You don't want to take much more curb than that, otherwise you'll be spat into the wall. Pole is a 133.2 now, courtesy of Esteban Ocon. Never really feel like I get a great exit out of that last left-hander. That sets you up all the way down this straight, and we improve by nearly 8 tenths. Do we get into Q3? No, is the answer. P14, 9 tenths away from getting into Q3 in the end, so quite a massive margin. We know the AI OP and quali. The race is where it counts. Let's do it.
Tough luck there. It's not quite where we'd want to be on the grid, but chin up, it's not the end of the world.
And a warm welcome to you from Azerbaijan Square, heart of Baku and home, of course, to the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. With high speeds, tight corners and few runoff zones, many are expecting a safety car here today, so our drivers will have to stay very much on their toes and hopefully away from the barriers. Let me ask you about Alpine. We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
It doesn't look promising for them so far. And if the new regs have hit them as hard as we think, well, I suspect they may need a few late nights at the factory to get back on track.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Young superstar Max Verstappen starts from pole position, with Daniel Ricciardo slotting in alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Sainz, Valtteri Bottas and Hamilton, Gasly, Ocon, Armstrong and Daniel Ticktum, Eilert, Benjamin, Sebastian Vettel and Leclerc, Tsunoda, Joe, Nicholas Latifi and George Russell, Giovinazzi, Mick Schumacher, Stroll and Nikita Mazepin.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
Hello, Jeff. Fancy seeing you again. He's awfully calm for a man who's about to lose his job permanently, but good to have your services once again, mate. Here we are on the grid for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. P12 in the end. I think it was Leclerc and someone else, maybe Vettel, having a penalty of their own. So that actually promotes us up further to the front, which is absolutely lovely to see. Race strategy, I think we're going to change it up and go mediums. Just because of that impending rain. We might actually be able to stretch the mediums all the way until the inters are ready to go on the car. So that's definitely an option. Going to take out some fuel as well. From what I remember, this car is quite efficient on fuel consumption. So a lighter car is a faster car, especially when there's probably a higher chance of safety car around here. We don't want to be stuck with too much fuel at the end of the race. So here we go. Medium to soft. Tyre wear upgrades mean that the numbers are always more flattering once you actually get into the race, and tyres can go much further than what the game says, so we'll be absolutely fine. P12, strategic front row of the grid for us. Not too far away from the front of the grid. We just need a clean start, and we are underway for the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Yeah, wasn't a great start. Wasn't expecting one as we head down into turn 1, getting jumped by Vettel and Leclerc as well, so those extra positions we gained over Saturday evening have all been lost courtesy of my amazing skill on this game. So it's P13. We squeeze out Leclerc nicely to move up one place. I'm going to be pretty patient in this race, guys. I don't think we'll have the pace really to challenge these guys, at least early on, after this first lap. So the most important thing for us is to stay as close as possible to the race leaders. Make sure we're within 1 second of the fast boys, which pretty much everyone in front of us is. They all have very, very fast cars, so the performance between all the cars is going to be very, very close. It's just imperative that we don't lose too much time in actually battling and making sure that we get ourselves ahead of a potential battle pack if one starts to emerge.
Radar is clear. Weather is looking good for now. Dries seem like the
Oh! My goodness. Getting a message from Jeff there. And maybe I wasn't concentrated because I was listening for the weather report, but I very nearly bid myself into the barrier at the castle section. I think the curb grabbed the car and over-rotated a little bit, and we were heading face first into a barrier, but the car was so responsive that it just got itself out of trouble just as quickly as that situation emerged. But that was very fortunate to get out the other side of that cleanly, and we're able to press on with this race once more. Leclerc behind us, Ilott in front, trying to make a move on Sebastian Vettel. And these are the battle packs I'm talking about. When people start running side by side on this game, they tend to leak a lot of time. They've already lost the DRS almost to the next group of cars. So I'm going to try and go for both of these guys here on this second straight. We're going to go around the outside, down into turn 3. Ilott going in super deep, but leaving enough space on the outside for us to squeeze through. And that is a decisive move we needed to make in this race to stay with our teammates and the race leaders. So here's the replay. Lovely stuff. Nice and deep, nice and committed. Just about missing the wall as well. There's such high stakes on simulation damage. But we managed to get away fairly nicely. Now, Gokon, Gasly. Good. Ocon and Gasly are the next cars ahead. Finally get the words out. And they were just outside of a second just a few corners ago, and now we're just starting to creep into DRS range through these low-speed corners. Seems like the rotation, I was complaining about it earlier on in the weekend. Turns out the rotation is actually really good at low speed, which I will absolutely take. It's only lap 3, and the mediums are really starting to switch on, which is amazing to see. And now we get DRS, so that's a momentum change for us in this race. We're going to swiftly get past some of these guys if they start battling, or if their pace drops off even further. Max Verstappen into the pit lane, as is one of the McLarens. Has to be Lando Norris. My teammate now inherits the lead of the Grand Prix on the medium compound tyres. Marduk Motorsport. The day they emerge as the best car in Formula 1, they are potentially looking down the barrel of a 1-2 finish at this early stage of the Grand Prix. Ricciardo, I sincerely hope he stays out long until it's time for intermediate tyres. Ocon going defensive. Not Gokon. Can confirm it's Ocon, and can confirm he just about leaves enough space for us to get through. Here's the replay. Those AI get really scared of hitting that inside barrier. That's they almost invite the mistake to happen. But thankfully we got round him, and we've got around all the people who have just dived into the pit lane for a new set of tyres. All of them going on to another set of soft compound tyres. It looks like either way, the AI who started on softs are doing a 2-stop in this race. So that is almost guaranteeing us having a 1-2 in this race. Oh, no matter which way it goes. And that was nearly a carbon copy of lap 1, where we hit the barrier in the castle section. Meanwhile, my teammate, he'll be coming in very shortly. make that now, actually, as he dives into the pit lane. What tyres is he going to go for? This is going to stretch him to the rain period, and it's going to be a set of soft compound tyres. So he's basically just doing the inverse of the soft compound runners, and I'm actually not sure those softs will make it to the end or until the rain period hits. So
everything's looking good.
I'm not so sure about that. Charles Leclerc is out of the Grand Prix. My championship rival, who leads the championship, is now out of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix. Much like the race that just happened today, that being Spain, he has an engine failure, which is absolutely crazy.
Looks like rain is inbound, and we're expecting it in around 5 minutes.
I think it was last episode of this Career Mode Championship, I was saying how closely matched to real life this series is. Like, the form book and who's on pace and who's not is really following closely of 2022. And, well, it just continues again in this episode, which is absolutely crazy to see. But the rain is inbound. It's actually falling on the screen now. Here comes Max Verstappen. He's already made his stop, a very early one, in fact, onto a new set of medium compound tyres. He's got the pace in that Red Bull, at least at this stage. But Max has got to be coming to the end of this stint as well. My tyres have certainly seen better days, having done already 16 laps on them already. This is pretty much pit stop time for us, but there's no point pitting for another set of dry compound tyres now. We've only got to wait another lap or two before we can go onto intermediate tyres. We're not quite ready for that just yet. It is raining and the track is damp, but there's not those puddles. There's not enough standing water to really warrant a new change of tyres just yet. But Max Verstappen thinks otherwise. He's going into the pit lane for a set of intermediate tyres. He's going aggressive in this race. No, it's not intermediate tyres. It's dries. He's gone on to another set of mediums. And Ricciardo is in as well to pretty much doom his fate in this race. What are the AI doing? Now the pit window is open for us, and I'm probably going to box at the end of this lap depending on the grip levels. But yeah, it really does seem to be falling off a little bit. Are we coming in? No, not yet. One more. We're doing one more before another set of intermediate tyres. This is Dan Ticktum, who's a lap down, going off the hards and onto mediums. So even he thinks it's not ready for intermediate tyres yet. But yeah, a lot of the AI getting caught out by a lack of tyre conservation. They're not looking after their tyres. They're really dipping into their tyre bank, and it's costing them in this race. I am pretty much running away with this as we see Dan Ticktum up the inside into that left-hander. I did not have the grip and confidence that he did, and he's taken that lap back with a supreme amount of bravery into that left-hander. That was pretty much all or nothing for Dan Ticktum. He's now back on the lead lap, and you never know, there could be a safety car just around the corner. This game is pretty wild sometimes. We're coming into the pit lane now for a new set of intermediate tyres. Maybe Dan didn't need to take that risk anyway. But in we go for a set of intermediate tyres. I think the track is ready now. 6-lap sprint to the end. And, you know, with the kind of margin we have now, there's no need for us to take any risks. So we're going to take it nice and safe onto the intermediate tyre. Daniel follows as well. And this should be pretty much... Oh! This should be pretty much plain sailing to the end of the race, as for some reason we fell off the track there, and that was not in my control. But anyway, Verstappen staying out the extra lap. I think Sergio Perez forced him to stay out one extra, and now he goes on to intermediate tyres. So Max Verstappen looking really good for the race win here, has unfortunately just not got the strategy right today, which is a real shame. But 5 laps to go in this race, and there's a safety car! A safety car right at the end to test me once again. Safety car has been deployed, and if you rewind the video like 5-10 seconds, you'll see there was no local yellow. No one was retiring. It must have been debris or something, or the FIA were just simply bored in this race and they wanted to see a dramatic finish. But yeah, the safety car has been deployed, and we're going to have maybe 2 or 3 racing laps to get to the end. And there's one final weather change as well, because apparently the track was going to experience heavy rain in the dying laps of this race. So we might see a switch to wet compound tyres, but if we're to do that, we should have done that already. And I really didn't want to give up the track position especially not knowing how many laps we have left in this race once we do go back underway for green flag running. So I'm going to stay out in the position I'm in and just defend for 1 or 2 laps, whatever it might be. I think that's the best way to go. Dan Ticktum, in the end, is actually a lap down still. He's right behind me, so that's rather unfortunate for his front, but we're getting ready now to go back to green flag running. The safety car lights are out, and we'll have 2 laps to decide the winner of the Azerbaijan Grand Prix here in Baku. It's going to be between myself, Sainz, Verstappen, or Ricciardo. Callum Ilott needs a bit more experience in that McLaren. I don't think he'll be able to maintain the same pace as us. So, here we go. Controlling the pack. I want to leave this as late as possible because we want to give our tyres more opportunity to warm up. They are actually quite cold, but more importantly, we don't want to give anyone any slipstream as we head down this start-finish straight. So here we go. Ready for the restart of this Azerbaijan Grand Prix. 2 laps to the end. Our championship rival, Charles Leclerc, is out of the Grand Prix. So any points we can get over him today is going to be massive in the context of this championship. Look at Carlos Sainz going up the inside into turn 2. He's got massive amounts of confidence compared to us. Our intermediates are still a little bit cold compared to him. The AI always do a good job of maintaining great pace in low grip conditions. And it's just going to be a bit of a struggle for these first few corners or first half lap while our tyres get up to temperature once again. But defending hard against Carlos Sainz, managing to keep him at bay for now. And now he's fighting side by side with a lap car. I think it's Yuki Tsunoda getting in the way in that Aston Martin. Here comes, oh my word, Max Verstappen with the move of the season. Dare I say it, maybe even of the entire career mode. Up the middle of 2 cars and into P2 in this race. Once again, we know how formidable Max Verstappen is in these conditions. That's Callum Ilott, the inexperienced McLaren driver, out of the Grand Prix. He's been struggling so far in his campaign in Formula 1, and today it continues once again, absolutely mucking it up on the back straight. I think he was behind my teammate, Daniel Ricciardo, who was a little bit slow and tried to swerve violently to get around him and then overcorrected and was in the barrier. But here we go, on the last lap of the Grand Prix. Max Verstappen is now clear to have a run at us on this last lap. 5/10 is the margin, and still he's got barrels of pace compared to us. We're just a little bit tentative, a little bit conservative. I don't really feel like I can push the limits of this car, or that the car locks up potentially very easily. I don't want to overstep the mark, so we're just going to play it nice and safe on this final lap here. He can't really overtake at this point of the circuit. All we've got to do is hold a lot of battery charge for that final run up to the line, and I feel like we've got the straight line speed to cover off anyone in this field. One of the best engines we've got. We're running lowish downforce compared to these guys, so we should be okay, but Max is putting on a lot of pressure as we head into the middle sector for the final time into the infamous turn 8 castle section. It's very easy to overcommit there and end up in a barrier, which we obviously do not want to do on this last lap. The grip is absolutely nowhere, and Max Verstappen is relishing these conditions as we go up into overtake just to try and maintain a bit of top-end speed. Back into overtake again. Look at the overspeed from Verstappen. He looks inside, he looks outside, and we're out of the Grand Prix. Max Verstappen has sent us into the barrier. We are both out on this last lap. We are both gone. And here's why. The replay will tell us all. What is Max Verstappen doing on the run into the downhill left-hander? He had the overspeed. He went to the outside of the last second, and I thought he had more space than that. We both end up in the barrier with only 3 corners to go. Oh, man. He looks inside, then he goes outside, and he wasn't even alongside. He was barely alongside as he tags us, spins us into the wall. I'm going sideways down the hill, can't slow down, no front wing, no tyres pretty much, and that's game over. Verstappen getting caught up in that as well, so sim damage, no one is going to survive that unfortunately. But let me know guys, who was at fault for that incident? Is it me or is it Verstappen? Was Verstappen too aggressive in that move around the outside? I'm not too sure, but that is massively costly.
That's a fantastic performance from Ferrari. It hardly looked in doubt. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Well, you know what they say, to finish first you have to finish. And that fact was clear today, with lots of retirements having a big effect on the outcome of the race. As a driver, you tend to keep reliability concerns to the back of your mind and just focus on what's in front of you. But for the teams, races like this can be very stressful.
Here come our winners now. A thrilling race and a tremendous effort by Ferrari. Their history is well known, so it's no surprise to fans the world over to see them come out on top once again.
Boom. Carlos Sainz gets himself on the map, on the board in this season of career mode, and that could well be a massive swing in the context of this championship. Daniel Ricciardo arrives as well on the podium as we get the fastest car. He was, I don't know, a bit unlucky this weekend. Kind of stuffed up the strategy at the same time not to get the win. He could have been in just a formidable position as what I was in. But in the end, the rain and the safety car was decisive. Looks like half the field are lapped down or DNFing because of that. I don't know if people crashed into us after the fact. We didn't see the footage. We just cut away to us walking away in the garage. But a lot of people ending up a lap down. What I'm assuming is not in the race anymore. But crazy results there. Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll in the Alpine. Good results for those guys. Giovinazzi and Guan Yu Zhou getting points, which is absolutely massive for those guys. But a big L for some of the top guys in the championship. Verstappen, Leclerc and myself getting no points. This is a big open invitation for the likes of Sainz and Ricciardo to get involved in the fight for this championship. Valtteri Bottas doing decently, consistently there in P3. We move up to third in the constructors standings, which is nice to see. Second is definitely on the cards. But yeah, Ricciardo, his form is getting better now, which is nice to see, especially since we've upgraded the car. He's able to actually deliver on the package that we have. So I'm hoping for many more performances like this from Ricciardo on my end. Obviously annoying to DNF from that race, with especially only 3 corners to go. With Leclerc out of the race, that was a big opportunity lost, but I thought Verstappen had enough space. But we move to the next Grand Prix. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll see you guys next time for a new episode of Career Mode.